My name is Angela Maroney. I'm 42 from Howell, New Jersey.
How long have you lived in New Jersey for?
My whole life. I was born and raised in New Jersey, yes.
A lot of cold and snow up there in the wintertime.
Very unpredictable. Like it was, 90 degrees one day and then it's 50 the next. So it's very crazy.
Do you want to live in New Jersey your whole life?
I actually went to college in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I went to, it used to be called Barter College. I don't think it's there anymore, but it was right in the Phipps Plaza Mall. It used to be in the Lord and Taylor's underneath. And I studied fashion merchandising. They had some other stuff going on over there too. So
A lot of ties in because I'm based in Atlanta. So
that's pretty cool.
yeah,
That's why I brought that up.
yeah. So after college, what did you do? Where'd you go after college?
Basically, I did a lot of retail before that. I was trying to get on the higher up. I knew how to sell very well, so I wanted to probably get into the business side. But as soon as I came home from college, I ended up meeting the father of my kids and ended up having kids, and I never really got to really pursue exactly everything with that. But the degree was not wasted at all. As far as merchandising, marketing, advertising, all that type stuff, I've incorporated it in just about every job that I've had thus far. Customer service is a huge thing. Public speaking is another big thing that I got to study there. A lot of the styling. Right now, I'm actually acting and wardrobe stylist. That's a part of a degree. I talk to them a lot of the time behind the scenes, and it's always something that I realize now I can get into. I have the degree. It's never too late. Acting part time thing came up as a thing. I actually became disabled, and I'm limited to a fixed income with Social Security disability, and that doesn't cover rent in New Jersey. You can't take that. And I'm also raising three children by myself,
Well,
so there's no way to be raising them, cover rent, and have I don't know, just I mean having a car, being able to eat, being able to make sure the kids are dressed for each season, being able to make sure that they're involved academically and outside the school doing things that will keep them busy, as far as either sports or extracurricular activities. It's the stuff that you have to incorporate into a budget all the time. And honestly, Social Security doesn't cover any of that. And being disabled limits me to a lot of jobs. And the disability that I have is basically I had a failed carpal tunnel surgery on both hands. So I have less than 5% usage of my hands. So that left me with basically zero jobs. I really went from doing things like bartending and serving and working in customer service in the healthcare industry. I worked in assistant business office. I used to do all kinds of stuff in there, from accounts payable to accounts receivable to customer service to insurance payment review. I did all kinds of things, but now I can't type anymore, really can't stay on a phone anymore. This is why it's cool that I can just do stuff either, basically just being able to smile still or be able to remember some lines to say, for commercials or advertisements. And I'm depending on that in order just to stay where I'm at. And what's happening with the whole rent thing was I lived in the same apartment complex for 18 years. Okay,
wow.
my oldest is 17, so that lets you know that I came here, I got pregnant, and then I've been here ever since. At one point, this was low income housing. A few years ago, it changed. That didn't change the rent at first, but now 2 years ago, the rent went from, I'll say, 930. I was paying 930, and then it went up to 1395, and now I just got notice over yesterday, actually, when I opened the mail, that the rent went up to 1770 on the
Oh, wow.
same exact $930 apartment that absolutely nothing has been done to. Like, it's absolutely, I mean, it's I could say slum. I could say all kinds of stuff about this place because it's just not really. It's just really sad that they would do that to somebody, raise the rent almost double. And my apartment's been flooded, and New Jersey doesn't have flood insurance in this area that I'm in, particularly. We've had a lot of storms that were unexpected in this area. We just had a tornado the other day.
Wow.
Like I literally have like video. Like there's a tornado in Howell, New Jersey, and that's not something that we can prepare for. It's not something that you even get a warning for, and you're like, "Is this serious right now? This is not. We don't get these. This is something that happens out, I guess, in the Midwest and stuff, but not in this area." So I had to get new furniture a couple times unexpectedly. Long story short, with all that, my income that I get and very limited to doesn't even cover. It's not covered. I'm not getting any more rent. I'm not getting any more. I can't physically put myself out there to do a million jobs. I'm disabled. On top of the hands, I was in a car accident at the age 19, and I have lots of things wrong with me because of that car accident. Going from I went underneath the 18-wheeler tractor trailer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's I appreciate all that background and
Mhm.
obviously a lot of challenges in your life, and that's what I want to try to help and figure out and think through some ideas, and appreciate you being
Thanks.
open and honest about all of that. So
Mhm.
let's go back to your childhood. You said you were born and raised in New Jersey. What was your childhood like? You grew up in New Jersey. Did you have siblings? What was your family like?
I do. I grew up with a mom and dad in the same household with a younger brother. They ended up getting divorced when I was in college, and my brother is now in Florida. They helped me out a lot with children stuff like that. But I can't like go up to them and say, "Can I have a couple $1,000s if I ever needed it?" Anything like that. They've taught me to be an independent woman, even being disabled. Being fully disabled doesn't. There's still things that I had to figure out, and I'm glad that almost I got pushed that way. So they're not enablers. They wanted me to make sure that I would able myself and never give up. I figured out, a way to make a little extra money. But I grew up with a house. My father paid for college for me. I was very fortunate for that. He bought me my first car. Or they did as my parents bought me my first car, then my second car. They paid for college. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm 42. My mother pays for my phone right now. I'm on a family plan with my mother, and so that I can have a little bit of a better life, she pays for an iPhone for me. I'm super grateful and blessed in that sense still. Yeah, like I said, I'm 42. It's very hard for me to, and she even pays for I have my 17-year-old son. She pays for the phone for him also on that same family plan. She's making sure that the family's taken care of in that sense.
I mean, that's very sweet of your mom, and to be watching out for you and for your kids, and having supportive parents just through your life, and just to be there to help you raise the kids. And how old are your kids? You said one 17 and
17, a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. I have high school, middle school, elementary school.
you got them all. So I'm sure it's a busy household at all times, and they keep you busy and running around town. So
Yes.
when you were growing up, did your parents ever talk to you about money? And if so, what did they talk about?
I had a job as soon as I turned 14. I had working papers. I worked at like Great Adventure. That's a New Jersey type job. I worked at Blockbuster. That was around back then. I've done pretty much, like, I even worked at McDonald's as a cashier. I ended up in retail for a long time where I was a store manager by the time I was 18. I was an assistant manager at 17, which to me I thought was, I had like keys to a store and I was still in high school. I worked my way to that. And I was great at sales. I was very dependable. That's how you keep jobs and that's how you move up in a company is being dependable and helping them make goals and targets. I took those things very seriously at a young age and it kind of was instilled in me. It's like I've always been very, I don't know. I just love the whole business. I like businesses. I like how they're run. I like how stores. I worked in a mall for a long time.
Mhm.
I've done everything. I've worked at a grill. I've been a chef before. I've been a bartender.
You've done it all.
I'm a jack of all trades. I literally have tested out the waters, just about every single thing to figure out what I love the most or can do or what I'm the best at or how I can give back, if you want to say.
Mhm. You've done it all your entire life, and tons of different jobs, and always had a good work ethic, it sounds like. So
I have a very good work ethic, which is so funny that I ended up having children with somebody that never worked at all. The kid's father never helped me, never worked, never did anything. It's like I ended up with a complete opposite where you would think I would ended up with somebody that I wanted that same. It's like a charity case type of thing, I guess, with that. It's that I thought he didn't even have a high school diploma. I was like, okay, that was the first mission was okay, I'm gonna help this person get their high school diploma, but that never happened. And then, feelings developed, and then I ended up, 3 years in deep, and then having a child
mm,
without being married. And these were all things that I had values for. These are things that I did not plan on, but they happened. So
Yeah.
I had a great work ethic because my father had the same job from the time he was 19 till the time he just retired. He worked for Amtrak. His whole life he worked for Amtrak. A person with that type of job dedication and the type of work he used to say that, he worked all the holidays, and he would just say that I work for the railroad. This is something, he goes, other people want to see their families, and I'm the person that has to make that happen. Like, but he actually worked underneath. He wasn't like a conductor or anything like that. He actually was like a general foreman and did um, foreman type stuff on the actual underneath the ground before the
Wow.
trains went out and stuff like that out in New York. So this is what I grew up with, a man talking like that and
Yeah.
having the same exact job since he was 19 till he
Same
just
job
had.
and good work ethic.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. That's I mean, good models to have in your life to show you that. Um and had you get your first job at 14 to understand responsibility and getting after it there yourself. With that, when you got your job and started making money, with those jobs, did they ever teach you about how to budget or how to spend money or how to allocate stuff like that? Or was that ever talked about?
I was always told to save because you're going to need it more in the future than you need it now.
Mhm.
And I was also always told, don't spend what you don't have. And if you don't have anything yet, then save for something. And then I've always just had that type of, you're supposed to save. You're supposed to
Yeah.
save, and not. I never celebrated any type of jobs or anything because I've always strived for a little bit more. But then I ended up starting to have to take care of, two people, then three people, then four people. One time I was taking care of five people, including another adult. So a lot of what I was doing just wore thin fast.
Mhm.
I still have to take care of my three children and myself, which is all that background that we just talked about of me being able to like run stores at 17, me being that's staying organized.
Mhm.
I know how to pay bills. The worst thing I ever did was when I got out of college. Now I got in a car accident when I was 19. I got out of college. I had no friends except kind of for the friends of the people who I was kind of involved with because of the car accident and stuff. I was a passenger in that car accident. I ended up co-signing a car for somebody that I didn't even know at all. It was like a friend of a friend. That person ended up took off with the car. That happened to me at 20. That stayed on my credit for almost 20. I'm 42 now. That's kind of just off my credit.
And so I guess some more background and some story on that. So you're in the car accident with some other individuals and
The bank didn't ask me any of that. I just went there kind of like, oh, la di da. I got a new friend. I'm just signing some papers. Really don't mean anything. This is what I thought at that age, so young. I'm not, like I just was not thinking at all. I really did not know that that was going to stick with me as long as it did. Where I've literally learned, I wasn't able to have any credit for over 20 years at all. I couldn't have no credit cards. I couldn't have any. I had to have a co-signer for everything that I bought. For where this apartment that I live in now that I've been living 18 years. When I got here, I had to have co-signers because of me having this bad credit because of that. Even though I had that great work ethic and I
yeah.
paid every single bill my whole life, I've never paid a bill late, never paid my rent late, I've never paid utilities late. It's something that means something so much, but that doesn't matter once you sign a piece of paper co-signing something for someone else.
Yeah.
And that was their car between, it was between it was between the bank and the person, and then I got this debt for 20 years, and it was a person I didn't even know.
That's a terrible to hear that happened to you. And I'm curious what ended up happening with that. And one, how much was the car loan for? And two, did it end up getting paid off? Did the person end up paying off, or did they like you said, they ran away and you never heard from them again? Or
Once I opened up a checking account at one time, they garnished my checking account. I think I have $4,300 in it. They took it all. And that's when I became a first mom. So that had to be about 2005. That debt was from 1999.
okay, so they ended up pulling money from your bank account.
They pulled it right without, and I didn't even know about it. I went to go take out money out my checking account one day to get some dinner for me and this new baby that I had. I was, going out to eat, and zero. I go in the bank. They tell me that my bank was garnished. I start crying. Those cashiers, actually, shout out to them. They all put some money together. And when I left there, they gave me $50. They said so I could take my child out to eat. But I was so crying so much, I had to sit there before I could even leave because I couldn't even leave. And they're playing with my son at that point. And that's the 17-year-old I have now. But he was in just born at that point. So that was 17 years ago.
Wow.
I'll never forget those ladies at that bank for doing that. That was just such a nice thing because they felt my pain. And I told them I didn't even know this girl. I
Yeah.
didn't even.
That's good to hear that those people were helpful in that instance and gave you some money to be able to go get food with a newborn. And
Right,
oh,
right, right.
I can't imagine just waking up and all your money just gone without knowing. And
And I just had a new job, and I thought I was doing better. Yep, and now so then that happened, but the car loan originally was for I believe 11 something thousand.
okay,
It was 11,000 and some change. So now there was some money lingering all these years. Now, mind you, I just became a mother at that point. I ended up having three kids with the same person, but he never helped. That loan stuck with me, but then I became disabled, where my health became where I couldn't work and support anybody at all.
mhm,
So I did some work with the lawyers and stuff and said, I'm physically unable to pay this. And if anything, you should be going after that woman at this point. I don't know why I got stuck in. And for anything, I believe the lawsuit something about is take what you got and can we settle for what you took already? Because
mhm,
now you put me in debt. I don't have, I can't even afford, I'm down here in the tax bracket now.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter how much education I have. It doesn't matter about anything. I don't have that type of money to pay extra for that car and my kids and myself to live.
So it ended up being settled, I guess, after that.
It went to a third party thing, and there's still some stuff lingering. But from as far as the bank, they settled. They're done. I stopped getting them, but it's like once it goes to these third party things, it's like it goes on. Like I don't know when it
Yeah.
kind of ends.
So you're not sure still if they're gonna try to still send you to collections and collect more money out of it, or
That's what they tried to do, and that's when I sent them another letter with a what is it called? The people who help at the lawyer's office. My mind is blank right now.
paralegals?
A paralegal, thank you. A
Yeah.
paralegal helped me out related to me and helped me design a letter saying, "You guys got what you got already. This has been settled since 2008. This matters from 2000 and it's
Yeah.
2023. This person's collects Social Security now. I'm a single mom. I collect Social Security. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
There's nothing I could. I live like literally on a fixed income. What do you want?
I'm curious to hear. I mean, it sounds like they're attacking you. Obviously, like legally, legally have the right to because of the co-signing. But I'm also just curious, like, what is happening to this other individual that you haven't heard from since that day?
They're supposedly, if through the grapevine, they're in Alabama and never had any type of financial help, nothing to this. They took off with it in the car, ended up blowing up. When they actually two people ended up leaving in the car. They robbed like the bank deposits out of a store that never carried with them. It's like these people went scot free living. They traveled down to Florida, went to Jupiter, Florida. I actually called the police down there. So you have a person who has a car. They said unless that person commits a traffic fine or anything, they can't just go randomly take a person for something going on in New Jersey. So I found that very odd. I'm like, I found this person. They live in Jupiter, Florida. Nothing ever happened because I co-signed it. Once you co-sign a paper, that's it. That's it. You are legally binded to that person's debt until it is
Forever.
paid. Yep, until
Yeah.
it's paid.
What lesson would you want to share to anyone out there that's 18, 19, 20 years old and someone's asking them to co-sign on a loan right now?
You cannot trust anybody. It doesn't. I hate to say that. My own family has. At that point, anybody that borrows money at this point has to sign a contract with me. We're entitled to that money back. I've had family, closest friends. You're anybody who you think is the closest person. After when it comes to money, money is the root of all evil. It literally will change a person that fast. They'll forget how fast they told you how bad they needed it or whatnot, and how many stories you can't believe anything. And if you do have this heart, make yourself a contract, because I've gotten money back from the court systems, because once a person signs it, they're legally binded to pay you back in the courts. We'll go get your money. Same thing how when you sign the contract. But once you do it with the companies, that's it. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's the best advice I could give. There's nobody worth it. There's nothing worth it that will take away your freedom from being able to live the American dream. Because that's what it's all about: having credit, being able to get stuff, do things, go places, or have the ability to just, you
Yeah.
lose all of that. You can't buy a car, you can't get an apartment, you can't get anything once you don't have credit. You
Yeah.
need credit.
It's I mean, I think great point there when it comes to giving friends, family money. It's I mean, my motto is if you give friends and family money, don't expect it back, and don't get mad if you don't get it back because
That's my father taught me that too. My father said that a long time ago. He goes, "Don't ever live anybody, not even your own family." He goes, "Even if I ask you, don't ever give me money. Don't give anybody money."
yeah,
And for I sometimes thought I was over that, and there's never been an exception. I'm 42, and I've never had anybody. Matter of fact, one person I did help out with a motorcycle, and I got money back plus, but that was one person in my whole entire life. So I can't base that person on for experience. You might find one good apple, but I doubt it. I highly, 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 highly doubt it. I don't want you to shy away from ever being a nice person, but I don't really suggest it.
yeah. I agree. I mean, it's okay to help people if you're financially able to and willing, but don't have the expectation of getting that money back. So
That's exactly what it is. And it's going to hurt even more. It's just going to hurt. It's just going to
yeah.
hurt. It's going to be a rude awakening.
Let's I'm curious just from your standpoint, I want to dive into a few things. What would you rate your current financial situation on a scale of 1 to 10? One being it's not in a great spot, the worst spot possible, 10 being in it's perfect.
The thing with that is that I feel like I've been able to go from having less than a 600 credit score to over a 800 within the year by purchasing a car and paying it off. Um, Also getting a whole bunch of random retail cards. Once my credit was at where that car loan wasn't affecting me, once I realized that, once my Social Security disability went through, I guess maybe that maybe squared something. I have no idea what happened, but I know I started getting all these credit card things, and then I checked my credit, and I think I applied for the first like a retail card in the store, and I got approved for one of the lowest amounts, and I go, okay. Well, what I did was I charged some stuff that day, but I made sure I had the money to pay for it, and I never paid the minimum payment. I went right ahead and paid it off. So that like brought up the credit a little bit, which let me get something a little bit bigger. Like I made a bigger little purchase. Then when I actually went, this happened maybe for about 8 months. Then when I actually went to go purchase a car, I didn't need a cosigner for the first time in my whole life, because I told you I did that credit thing. My father bought me my first two cars. So when I needed to actually buy a car before I couldn't buy it myself, I had to have my father cosign or my mother cosign for me. But now this was the first time in my whole life I didn't need a cosigner. Just by me building my credit up within those 8 months by taking credit card. I think maybe like Amazon Prime gave me a couple $100. Your local Macy's gave me some money, or some stores just like that. And I would get things that I already knew that I can afford, just so that I can show them that I'm dependable. I'll give you, I'm going to pay the money back and stuff like that. And now, like I said, my credit is so great and everything is so good. And the thing that's holding me back is I went to go try to get this house, and they asked me for my tax statements. And I go to try to get my tax statements, and I mean, I don't know how to say it. I found out that my kid's father was like committing like a tax fraud. It said I lived in a different town, said I was married, said someone else was a head of household. Now
Well,
I said, what in the world? This cannot be happening. Like you couldn't have took a more a person. I'm just not, and I'm not clueless about my life or anything like this, but I had no idea that this was even possible, that somebody could do this. And I didn't know that this was something I have to check up on, or, oh, make sure, that. I did start thinking, how come I'm not getting certain things from like the IRS that I usually get, like certain types of mail saying, are you getting ready to file taxes? Now, knowing that I'm on Social Security, being on Social Security, you don't really file taxes because it's not considered an income,
Mhm.
which is another thing that I never knew about. There was no way for me for a couple of years to earn an income until I figured about that this whole acting thing, that it was even a possibility. It's not something everybody, I guess, is. I don't like. It's not something everybody can do. I don't
Yeah.
know. At first, I kept saying, "Oh, I'm lucky," but I've been able to find a lot of work doing a lot of different things on TV or online or whatever, and very fortunate in that sense. Where now I have this all these extra W-2s coming in, and I couldn't file them for myself. So then I'm talking to local accountants and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that," and I started getting lost in all the jumbo mumbo. But long story short, the realtor's like, you can't buy a house until you have these tax returns. There's nothing you could do. You can't even go and buy a house cash if you wanted to. Say I don't know, say you had $125,000 and you want to go buy a house without a tax return from last year, you
Mhm.
can't do that. This
Yeah.
is all stuff I had no idea about. So, because I'm like, all right, I've thought I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's with getting my credit to a certain level. So now when I go to try to do this house, because I've been renting since I'm 18 years old. I've been renting an apartment, and
Mhm.
I've never been able to exceed because I have a lot of extra responsibilities. But with the rate that the rent is going, and I can't see that paying rent is a wise decision for much longer. I can't see, I would say investing in a home would be the best option for somebody my age with the type of history I have about knowing priorities, which the house would be the top priority. And I do know there's a lot of responsibilities that come with homes as far as, you don't get a lot of amenities, but honestly, I don't get anything in this apartment. Nobody helps me with the plumbing or the lights or with I'm doing everything myself or finding somebody that can help me regardless. So uh,
It-
that's I wanted your help to figure out or what are options or
yeah.
am I on the right sense? Should I just continue saving at the rate I am? I don't know.
Yeah. So, I guess a few things. One, I don't know if you answered, I guess, the question in terms of 1 to 10. What would you rate your current financial situation?
I said it's very I don't want to give myself a 10, but it's a 10 as far as I don't have any outstanding credit right now. I paid everything off that I have.
Mhm.
Anything that I spend, I pay off. There's nothing on the red. I have my, I about to say, I just got my lease for my car, this is awesome. It was a 7-year lease, and I have a lease right now.
You're sorry. Are you leasing a car, or you paid it off?
I paid it off. I meant like this is the
The,
title.
the title. The
I
title.
used
Yeah.
the wrong term.
Yeah. I was saying, hope you didn't lease a car in the last day.
No, no,
So
no, 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 no. That's not what I meant to say. My term got messed up. But yes, like getting that to me was saying if I could get a car in a year because of the day, like why can't I get a house?
yeah, no, that's awesome that you paid the car off so quickly. So how much when you first financed the car, how much was it for, and what were the payments on it? Because you said you paid about $200 payments, but you paid $1,000 a month for it.
After taxes, it was like 14,000. After the taxes and all the add-ons they did, because I think it was about
Mm,
12,000, and they added all the stuff on. It was a little bit over 14. I put down five, I think.
mm-hmm. You paid it off in a year.
And then I paid it off in a year. I paid one time I paid a little bit more than, that. And it was basically just to build the credit
Yeah,
for me to be able to because then I'm like, oh, I have these extra acting job things and this maybe would help me, with the
yeah.
house thing. But then that's when I found out about whatever was going on with my taxes.
Well, I'm proud of you first and foremost on paying the car off within a year.
That
Because
was that helps you so much. That helps out credit.
if we were talking right now and you said you went and financed the car and you had a payment, I'd say that's not where you want to be. But I'm proud of you that you paid it off.
They were we agreed on 236 payments for 7 years.
And you knocked it out in 12 months. That's awesome.
The bank was charging extra interest that you have to pay so much extra. You'd be ended up paying almost 18,000 or 17,000 if you paid it off the way they wanted. When
Yeah.
you think about it, that there, if you need it that way, that's great for somebody. But to me, when I'm trying to save for a house or do extra things, it didn't make sense to take extra.
Yeah. So, going back to, I guess, paying the car off $1,000 a month. Well, let's jump into, I guess, current income and expenses, and then I want to ask a few questions about the car, and then goals for talking about going into buying a house, what your goals are with that. But right now, income you're receiving, Social Security, disability, and then what else are you bringing in on top of that?
I've had all kinds of rent. I try to bring in at least an extra 500 a week. So that'd be an extra 2,000 at least a month.
Mhm. And so is the Social Security, is it 1,100 a week or is it 1,100 a
It's
month?
a month. It's $1,144 a month. The children also get, I think, a check for about 152 each. So there's three of them. So that comes out to 152 times three.
450, 456, I guess.
I actually have that money allotted in a whole different account. I want to
Mhm.
be able to afford any schooling or extracurricular activities with that. I don't use that for anything but them. It's on a whole different card. And like I said, with that whole thing out of sight, out of mind, I kind of don't include that in the rent.
Yes, it's to help afford their lifestyles and their them growing up.
Correct. That's not yeah, that's not anything like I would that's I want them to remember. I don't know. I never had that. I never had to pay bills in my own apartment. I never had to chip in for anything. Or my parents had a townhouse.
Yeah,
Now they bought a house when by the time I was in high school.
yeah. So you want to provide for your kids.
I want that same life. I want to give cars, but my son is 17, but he actually didn't get his license yet. I think it has something maybe to do with that car accident I was in at a young age.
Mhm.
I don't know if I just don't know if that influenced him not to want to get his license, but
Yeah.
he didn't get a license yet, but I offered him to get him his first car. Things that I do for money, where I've always noticed I have a great personality. So in that same sense, I do a lot of customer service type jobs where tips are incorporated.
Mhm.
Tips me living a tip has always helped. Bartending, waitressing, customer service, but hostessing type, working hospitality, anything
Yeah.
like that. That's always been very beneficial for me. That's basically what I could just say about that. I've always worked at sports bars and stuff like that, and I'm very attentive. I'm very thorough, so I know when people want drinks or I don't mess up on their orders. Usually, that's all you have to do. If you don't mess up on somebody's order and you pay attention to when they need a drink refill, it helps you out a lot. You bring extra napkins, little stuff like that. It goes a long way. Put a smile on your face the whole time. That's just kind of the whole entire reason why you go out to eat is to have that type of service. I know that.
Yeah.
Just the same way if you can make someone feel good at a store. If you can make someone feel good about buying something, they're going to buy it. So
Income wise, you're bringing in about $2,000 a month on the acting side, and then another 1,100 on Social Security. With acting, are you setting aside money for taxes out of that $2,000, or are you not setting that aside of that money?
I already take that out before I sign the contracts. With them, I make them take it out before, and I do all that stuff before when I fill out the W-2s with them. A lot of them are non-union jobs,
Okay.
at least the ones I get. I'm filling out a W-9. I'm not filling out that W-10 one. I'm not. It's not that
So,
type
so
of.
are they sending you 1099s then? Because if
That's what I'm saying. I don't get 1099s. I'm getting the full W-2s at the end. I'm making them take taxes out.
you're getting W-2s and you're getting payroll taxes taken out prior to
I
receiving money.
made in 6 months. I made an extra $8,600 doing the acting last year. That was on the tax return that I just
Okay.
filed. That's
Okay.
what I wanted to also tell you. After actually calling the IRS, after all these people on the outside were telling me one thing, IRS said, "No, honey, you could do your taxes yourself." You could do
Yeah.
your taxes right now and you can amend them yourself too. You could do all this stuff yourself. They sent me all the forms and you don't need a college degree or anything. It's very simple to fill out your taxes. It's very simple to do your taxes. It's literally they're asking you for the number in a box. The box says the number, you fill it in. There's nothing else. And because I'm a single mother and because I'm disabled, there's not much other that else I could get. Earned income credit for the child tax credit. That's a huge part of how I take care of the kids
Yeah.
during the year. And me not getting that for 3 years has definitely affected my savings. I just didn't understand it. I thought because we were going through a pandemic, I thought because I wasn't working, I thought because I was disabled, I didn't think I could file taxes. I had no idea about, like I said, about any of that stuff was going on. So I've had to, I basically did all this stuff myself. I did it with TurboTax and I did it with the help of the IRS sending me the paperwork I needed. And I'm still waiting on that because I just actually did that exactly on April 15th and the taxes were due the 18th.
I'm glad you're getting that taken care of, and I'm glad too on the current income route, you're making sure you're getting the taxes taken care of there too, and
That's
filing.
very important. My name, that's like, it bothered me because I have been working since I'm 14. I have a huge, and I'm collecting Social Security. Like it's something very, this is very important, and it's basically your name. It will affect you.
Yeah.
How my name was affected because I signed that thing before. Something like this could affect you for a very long time. It's like tax fraud and stuff like that. I was never married. I never lived in that town. It's just, it's very, I hope it doesn't, I hope it's just an easy fix, like
Mhm.
the people said, well, sometimes because another person actually prepared that. And they said, well, the tax person might have made a mistake.
Uh,
So that's why you can amend it. So
yep.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is what I'll do then.
Yeah, so let's dive. So expenses wise, I have in front of me gas about $150 a month, shopping about $200 a month. Your rent, you said it's currently about $1,400 a month plus utilities, going up to about 1,800 plus utilities. What else do you have on
A thing that I'm very, again, with the blessing and the benefits. My mother's married to somebody who works for New Jersey Transit, and I get to travel on transit free back and forth to New York. That
that? Okay.
saves me over. I couldn't only imagine how a bus ride is almost $30 round trip every
Yeah.
day, and I was going there 3 4 days a week. So I'm not paying that extra money when I
Mhm.
am in the city. If I have to take a subway, but I choose to usually walk for health reasons and
Mhm.
because I just like walking around the city.
Yeah.
So I give myself extra time to walk. But if I have to take the subway, it's an extra $6 or something like that. Maybe extra $50, $60 a month. That's really,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what would you say? What would you say your total expenses are? Because I didn't see food included in there. So what and utilities? What would you say your monthly expenses are total, including rent and shopping and your gas?
I'd say about 3,500.
So about 3,500, you're bringing in about 3,100 a month in. So a little bit in the red on that front.
Right.
Where's that money pulling from right now if you don't have any debt right now?
That would be all the savings that I've done since I'm forever. When I was in that car accident also too, there was a settlement that I had. I structured the settlement. That money I saved. I never really spent. Of course, I bought cars or anything in big forms of money that I needed.
Yeah. And how much do you have in savings right now?
I actually also have a CD that I did when I had money, and that money I think I left it there, let it roll over a couple times. It originally was 5,000. It's only gone up to maybe 52, 50. It's only gone up less than $300. It's like under the in between the two and the 300 mark, like
Yeah.
270 something like that, and that's
Okay.
been for almost 4 or 5 years. Is very little interest in that. Probably about 35, 40,000.
So your goal right now, and do you have any retirement accounts on top of that, or is that the main bulk of your savings right
Before I became disabled, I cashed out my 401k and everything when I worked in that company. Some of
now?
that money is still in. Some of that money is in that group, that lump right there. Also, the money that I got as a lump sum from Social Security because I didn't get paid for 6 years. I was living off of nothing for 6 years.
Mhm.
When I applied for Social Security, they denied me first, and then it took me to go up before the judge after being denied twice.
Yep. Okay. So right now you're in the red with your expenses and trying to figure out is that prior to this rent going up, or is it going to be 3,900 with this rent increase a month?
That's what I'm saying. That rent, that's me including the 930 rent. That was me never even going to the
Oh,
13 because that happened so fast.
if
I
you're going up to 1,800 a month in rent, then you're going up to about 4,200, 4,300 in monthly
it,
expenses.
and it gets so overwhelming, and that will affect my health. That's why I don't even like to talk about it. But yes, that's realistically speaking, that's literally what's happening right now. But I just got that letter. I was so overwhelmed. And
Mhm.
another thing is, I tried to get like some free lawyer like count because of what they just did, and they're like, you have too much money saved, you have too much money in your checking account basically to get help. I go, you understand, if I gave you my money I'd have nothing. Like, you'd rather me be out in the streets. I'm trying to That's all I have for my life. I'm trying to budget that with my three children. You understand? Like, they don't care about any of that. The people look at the number. Oh, that's a lot of. No, it's not a lot of money, honey. It's not a lot of money at all. Like your expenses yearly go up to about 20,000. So if you don't have anything incoming and you're just sucking money out of that, then it turns into anything. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to work next month. I have no idea if my body will flare up and I won't be able to travel. So
Mhm.
when you say, oh, you're bringing in this much money, this is the whole thing about being disabled. I've had a lot of blessings over the last. I just started the acting last year in June,
Mhm.
and since June 2022, I worked. I made almost $8,600. That was great. I've had a lot of jobs even this year, but I haven't been able to work because it's still cold. I have autoimmune diseases, and the weather affects my body a lot. It makes me very tight. I have like a rheumatoid arthritis. My
Mhm.
joints get very stiff. I can't move. I'm only 42. I don't qualify for the benefits like everybody else does on Social Security because you have to be 55 or over for any type of help or anything. So they still want me to be able to, I don't know, provide like, and for them to raise this rent up to the 1770 is just absolutely overwhelming because I'm like, where is this extra money going to come from? I just have no, I have absolutely no clue at
Yeah.
all where any money can come from. And then I tried to apply. There's no way I'm going to get anywhere in 8 weeks. I only have 8 weeks. Like they literally gave me a notice to seize. You have to be gone,
Yeah.
and unless you sign this lease for the 1770.
Is there any other? I'm not familiar with the area in New Jersey and the rental prices. Is there any other options or?
There's no. I've looked as soon as this company took over 5 years ago. I've been looking for places ever since. Not actively, but here and
Mhm.
there. I'm saying, oh, you got any rent? Nowhere. When something happened last year, second year, they started raising a lot of rents in New Jersey. It's not just this place where the whole cost of living is a lot more in New Jersey right now. Just like your average loaf of bread went up, or
Yeah.
your gallon of milk or whatnot. So it's not like I was always going to stay at the 900, but however, how fast it happened to somebody in my situation, that's why I just think, I don't know, moving out of state is a better option. Me getting any kind of assistance this fast, I don't think it's a possibility. I've been on waiting list for Section 8 for the longest. I've been on HUD waiting list for the longest. And even with me becoming disabled after being a single mother, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean that's my biggest concern right now is renting. It sounds like it's yours too, obviously. Because I mean, $1,800 a month on bringing in just over $3,000 a month. I mean that rent alone is over 50% of your income that you bring in, which is not easy way to live. And that's I mean I would. I'm not familiar with the area, but whether it's moving to a different town, different city, or a different state potentially, I know obviously that's a lot with three kids and having one spot, but also, you don't want to be in a spot 12, 24 months from now.
Safety has a lot to do. You're cheap. No, I don't mean to cut you off. The cheaper areas in New Jersey are also equivalent to not a safe living environment. It's
Mhm.
the reason why they're cheaper places is because of the crime rate or because of the way that the quality of living is.
Yeah,
And not for nothing, it's a very good school system that the children are in. A lot of good school systems in New Jersey, but
yeah,
it's also very easy to be distracted by your environment. And I want them to grow up in a good environment so they don't have those distractions. But so back to me with the housing, it's just I'm trying to figure out how it's possible and am I doing everything I need to do financially wise? Is that all you do is need a good credit?
no, so I mean, I'll give you, I guess, my thoughts on housing real quick, and I guess I have a couple questions. So, housing, what's the typical house that you'd want to buy in that area? How much is it?
Oh, not, I mean, I definitely have to travel outside this area. These people are living in $1 million. Like the cheapest, a couple bedroom house over here is 500,000. That's not really I believe that they said that my credit at where I was at went for about a 215 or 275,000, the most that I'd be able to get like the banking approval and stuff like that. I've kind of ran that kind of thing with a realtor person before.
So 275,000 is what they said they would roughly.
Quality, I think that was like that qualify when you put in numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, my first take is if you're approved for a number, don't ever buy a house for that total. I mean, that's kind of capping you out at the maximum number that
Not
the
me.
bank is comfortable with you doing, and frankly, that's gonna put you under a lot of pressure. Um, for payments, and you're going to be in a similar spot where, I mean, a $250,000 house, depending on how much you're going to put down, if it's 3%, 5%, whatever it might be, you're going to be paying $1,500 a month in mortgage, interest, property taxes, home insurance, depending on how much property taxes are. I think y'all have pretty high property taxes in New Jersey.
Yes, in this area I'm in Monmouth County. That's where I live at, and it's,
Okay.
the higher up you go, the more expensive it is. I'm right in the middle.
Yep. So my take in housing is like always be well below what you're approved for. And I mean, a lot of people say, I mean, banks will approve you up to like 40% of your gross income, which
It's
in
too.
my opinion, it's way too much. I like to be in like the 30% range of your net take home pay. So in this instance, if you're bringing home 3,000, 3,200 a month, want to be around $1,100 because that would allow you comfortably to afford a house.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say if you're in the same spot, if you're going to go rent a house, that's going to be $1,800 a month. The things you're not thinking about is, I mean, if water breaks, like a pipe breaks, my pipe broke in my house a couple months ago. I had to pay $3,000 for it. It's not fun. It's a lot of money when stuff happens. And guess what? I have to fix it. Otherwise I don't have water, and I have water just flooding my house.
Correct. So it's not negotiable. It's not negotiable.
Or you start thinking about, okay, I had a buddy has had termite infestation, and he had to pay for that. And those are the type of things that the bank
And
doesn't tell you about, and that you don't think about when you're signing up or signing or buying a house. Same with the closing costs. You're going to pay anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 in closing costs typically for houses too. That isn't going towards interest, isn't going towards or isn't going to principal, and it's essentially a phantom cost in that sense. Is what Ramit Sadie says, it's a phantom cost, and it's stuff that people don't account for. So that's just always something to be very mindful when it comes to buying a house. And buying a house, I think I bought a house, and a lot of people glamorize buying a house, and I enjoy having a house, but at the same time, a lot of people don't think about the work that comes into it. I mean, whether it's doing yard work, whether it's pipes breaking, whether it's having to get maintenance people to come out to your house and fix things. I mean, like my sprinkler system broke in my house, and now I got to, if I want working sprinkler system, I have to do that. I have a buddy, he had flooding in his house. $20,000-$30,000 later, he fixed the flooding. It's like those are things people don't think about when it comes to buying a house. So I do understand the want to and desire to buy a house because it's fun having like something that you can call your own, but at the same time, it's always important to make sure that you're setting yourself up for financial success before you just rush into buying a house. So
is it the same though? But it's also an investment where if you're just renting your whole life, then it's just money that it's, where the money just it's just you're giving it away. There's nothing I can when I leave here. That's it. The end of the renting is okay. That's it. At least a townhouse, something with more where that you can make possibly profit or cut even with an investment. That's the how I'm looking at a situation like that. I've never actually been able to have a car that I've been never able to turn over. There's always been actually something to happen. So I don't even know what that feels like to be able to take something and then be able to sell it. I know a couple people like they're house flippers. They take a house, fix it up, sell it. And I,
yeah.
I don't have all that type strength, but it's a thing that's I thought why people buy the houses.
Yeah, and a lot of people tried it. I mean, a lot of people try to buy houses to flip it. When I bought a house, I went into it knowing my goal is to at least is to break even on it. I don't want to. I'm not going into it. Hey, I'm going to make money on this. It's hey, my goal is to break even. If I live in here for 10 years, hopefully I make money. But I know I'm not going into it saying, hey, I need to make money on this. Which I also know people that hey, they're trying to buy houses and they're saying I'm going into this because I want to sell it in 2 years and flip it and make money. And you can't control the issue is you can't control stuff in that instance, whether the market's going down, up, down, whether stuff breaks in your house and all the costs that go into it, or you're not even really accounting for if you have a real estate agent, you have to pay for those fees and stuff too. So,
So your mortgage can change just like how my rent is changing.
excuse me.
The mortgage changes just like the rent can change.
No, no. So in that instance, no, the mortgage is not going to go up like in your instance, double in 2 years. So that is something that obviously having a mortgage does help with that. The issue with right now, and from my take from buying houses, interest rates are pretty high. I mean, interest rates are 6, 7, 8%, depending on what your credit score is and where you are, which compared to interest rates 2 years ago, you're paying 3% interest rate, 3.5%, and your monthly payment would be a lot less, and you could afford a bigger house or have a smaller house and have a smaller payment. So just stuff to think about with that too. But 100%, I mean, being in your spot with, if you had an interest rate or a house payment, say for example, that was $900, when you like 2 years ago and you locked it in, you wouldn't be having to pay the $1,800 right now, which would put you in a would put you in a much better financial spot. The question is, can you find a house that's well within your means right now in terms of budget, so you're not paying 52% of your income or 55% of your income towards that mortgage payment like you are right now with rent because of the increase. So
So that's like everywhere then. That's not like just New Jersey with everything rising. You're saying that that's the whole marketing for housing market right now is up that high everywhere.
home prices have the last 2 3 years. Home prices in Atlanta is very very hot market. I think across the country, home prices have been rising 10-20% in the last couple of years. Some of the markets have started to cool down, and rent prices have been flying, as you know, like in New Jersey, in New York. It's very big in Atlanta even too. Rental prices are flying. So I think across the board, whether you're buying or you're renting, how home prices are going up. But for example, if you were to buy a $250,000 house right now, with we're going to take out, if you're going to buy a $250,000 house right now, and say you're going to put $12,000 down, and your interest rate was 6%, you'd be paying about $1,400 a month for principal and interest. And
Right.
if you're at 3.5% a couple months ago, you'd be at about $1,066. So that is, about $350 different a month in just straight interest payments that are going towards it. So, and that's just with interest rates changing from a year ago. So the same house, same payment a year ago would have been $1,066, and now it's $1,424. So that's an increase of $360, which really is about similar to what your increase is right now.
It's about 365, right? From the
Yeah, so that's just interest rates changing
the
on a
housing
two hundred
market.
fifty thousand dollar house. Yeah, so that has to do with interest rates. Has to do with demand in the housing market has been flying across the board the last couple of years, and then rental prices. A lot of people are upping their rent because COVID, obviously a lot of things slowed down in New York, and then stuff has flown across. I think New York City alone is, I think, one bedroom rentals are going for over $4,000 a month or something crazy, which is wild. So
In the inner city, yep.
I'm just explaining, like, in terms of home buying, I think it's a great goal to have, and I just want you to be going into it with a mind of, I'm not going to make a ton of money on it, but how can I do this in a spot where I'm setting myself up for success? If your biggest concern is rent going to increase in the next few years, then okay, what can I afford right now? That's 30% of my take home pay, that I can comfortably afford, instead of being in the 50% range, because you need to make sure you're accounting for, again, pipes breaking or plumbers coming because the toilet starts running, or what happens, or your refrigerator goes out, or your oven goes out, or a window breaks, or whatever it might be that you wouldn't have that's not currently in your current expenses. Like I have my budget. I have a home maintenance budget, home repair budget, where I'm allocating money, a couple $100 every single month, to when stuff breaks. So when my pipe broke last winter, I had that and saved up, because it was a sinking fund that I'm saving for every single month when stuff like that happens. So just making sure that when you're going through that process, that you're accounting for that and thinking about that. Okay, if my mortgage payment and everything is $1,100, I maybe need to budget $200 a month towards stuff breaking, or whatever it might be. A lot of people say around 1% of the value of the home. So if it's a $200,000 house, you're going to budget about $2,000 a year for home repairs and maintenance and stuff. So that's just one of the things to think through when you're looking at buying a house. And if a mortgage broker or an agent is sitting here telling you, hey, go buy a house right now, they're salesmen at the end of the day. Just like you've done a lot of sales in your day, they're trying to make their money. Obviously, they have to make a living.
Commission.
And they're going to say, hey, Angela, you can afford a $250,000 house right now. And because, look, we gave you a pre-approved paper, but really they're going to make more money the bigger the loan they give you. And you just have to make sure that you're protecting your best interest, and not, obviously there's a lot of great realtors, a lot of great lenders out there, but at the end of the day, the only people that has the best, like, in mind for yourself is you.
Right.
So it's just making sure that you're accounting for that and thinking about that as you go through that process. And I think my goal for you too would be, is like, right now, obviously, one, find a continue to search, try to search hard, whether it's Section 8 housing or it's other apartments in the area that you can try to see if there's options for that to not be paying $1,800 a month,
That's just
that are a little bit
insane.
cheaper. Whether it's another town, whether another city, another state, whatever that be. And then two, how can you increase your income when it comes to the acting and other opportunities? Obviously, making $2,000 a month starting that last year, going from $0 to $2,000 a month, that's impressive in terms of a new opportunity. That's not a full time job. But how can you increase that? Is there more opportunities on the acting side? Are there other jobs in your area that you think that with your disabilities you would be able to still do and still work some hours here and there to be able to get some more income coming in there so that you don't feel underwater or pulling from your savings every single month? So you obviously have the work ethic and determination to do that. You have 3 kids. I know any single mother in this world, they do more for their children, more for their families than anything. And I know you have the work ethic to do it. It's more so thinking about how can I increase the acting income? How can I find other jobs in that? Whether it's, I'm not sure if you're able to go be a hostess or be a greeter somewhere to be able to make some additional income where you're not necessarily having to use your hands for that because of limitations, but just thinking about jobs and opportunities like that in your local area that can help increase your income and provide some more stable income for you. So
Definitely. I always keep my eyes and ears open and network anytime I can. That's
yeah,
basically it.
yeah. So I have a quick question, I guess, for you. Like, what's the best financial advice you've ever received?
It'd have to be, I mean, it'd be about not, don't spend what you don't have. I mean, that's best. It was always about or not biting off more than you can chew. Never put any. I never tried to that credit debit. That's the best thing. Credit debit. Don't do it. It's great to have and to use as a tool, but don't depend on credit at all. Don't depend on credit. That will definitely set you up for failure in the
Yeah,
end. So basically, always just yeah, you're until you get to where you want after you set your goals. Don't ever put yourself in debt by using credit because it's literally a setup.
I would echo that. And credit cards, sounds like you've kind of played the credit card game to get your credit up, and that's a game that can be dangerous at the same time. So I'm glad you did not put yourself in debt with that. But yes, definitely don't play around with credit cards and buy stuff that you can't afford. If you don't have that cash in your bank account, you don't need to go buy that $100 shirt or $200 this. If you can't pay cash for it and pay that credit card off at the end of the month.
And never, I mean, of course, never co-sign anything for anybody. Your life matters more than anybody, and you will carry that. So I mean, that's the best. Don't I would hope nobody ever made that same mistake I ever did, but I know for a fact people do it, and I know it. Unfortunately, don't shame yourself if you've done it for any family or friends because they will take advantage of you. But anybody that I could tell, do not ever co-sign anything for anybody. It's very serious and it will carry with you forever.
I definitely fully agree with that, and appreciate you sharing that story and learnings. And hopefully, anyone that sees this and that's about to sign a co-sign a loan thinks twice about it. So,
They'll
um,
say people will sing you a song and tune and do a dance, and they'll tell you how much you're loved and like, but they will not give you that money back, or they won't care if your credit's affected at all. Making a late payment or not making the payment, or all of a sudden you're having to track somebody down, and then they don't pick up a phone. Somebody that you thought all the time would pick up the phone, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this
yeah,
this used to be my friend." No, no one's your friend when it comes to money at all.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
And last question: what's your plan for the rest of the year when it comes to acting? When it comes to building towards your goals? What are you going to try to do to make sure that you're not having to pull out of savings every single month when it comes to your income? And are you budgeting right now to try to reduce some other expenses? Obviously, I think you live pretty frugally when it comes to your spending habits.
I don't, we don't, we definitely, I'm not I don't teach my kids to eat out and stuff like that. I've actually made them go into a kitchen to see how unsanitary kitchens are, how dirty they are actually. No matter what restaurant they go to, I explain to them that silverware is used by hundreds of people a day, all the dishes, not ever deteriorating from ever wanting to go out public again, but I make them very aware of just stuff that I know because I work in restaurants or basically everywhere. It's not what they think. So giving them that little background, they're quick to want to eat at home and stuff like that. We try new things. We cook together. We try to keep, and to me, it helps with family time on top of it definitely saves hundreds of dollars where other people spend that, go out to eat once, twice a week. We don't eat fast food at all. That's just not something in our diets. and they don't feel good when they eat that anyway. So it's not something that they ask for. So it's not something I'm denying them. Um, so we don't do the eating that out like that, and clothes and stuff like that. It's reasonable stuff. We don't buy designer stuff, anything like that, and they get what they need for school as far as products, utensils,
Mhm.
the book bags and all that type of stuff, and anything they need for that.
And last question, since we're about time here, what's your plan? What's your goals for a house? Have you learned anything? And have you learned anything or on today too? Just talking about the home buying process.
I did. There's gonna be. It's not as easy, and there's also pros and cons. I could look at the list a thousand times, but yeah, it's a serious decision, just like co-signing the whole co-signing thing. This is something I'll be binded into, and that I have to know everything about it before I get myself involved, because it seems like I'm maybe am rushing into something I don't know about. So maybe I have to get educated a little bit more. Just like with the taxes, I have so many people telling me so many things. At one point, you just don't know. You basically, kind of how you said, you're only the only person you can kind of trust. So I have to educate myself probably a little bit more on where I want to settle down. I don't want to it's not going to be easy just to buy a house and then not buy the house. You can't sell a house as soon as you buy it. It's not going to be that easy. I know that much. How I was saying, oh, I could flip the house. No, people kind of got stuck with houses because of that housing market. I've heard that too. So, yeah, maybe I kind of was rushing into that. It is a goal. Maybe the acting jobs have gotten better, because with the more experience, the better jobs you get. I maybe at one point could probably count myself for a little bit more money than that, because of I also signing contracts and looking at longevity for more things. Like I just signed a contract probably like for a couple years for one type of thing, so I know I can depend on some money coming in with that, and then I can still do side stuff at home or whatever. I just have to
Yeah.
I have to figure it out. Like, but it's maybe just as far as staying here, I think that's going to be a waste of money. That's We both kind of decided on that. That's just not wise to sit there and spend that much. It's just not
Yeah.
wise. There's much better options probably out there. I just have to figure out where they're at.
You just have to do some digging and put some time and energy into it. But I mean, you have the knowledge. You're smart, and I think you can do it. And that's exciting to hear too. On the you getting a longer contract front and building those out so you can continue to increase your income. So really appreciate your time today, Angela, and
No, my pleasure.
have enjoyed talking to you. And would love to stay in touch. And if you ever have any questions for me, please feel free to shoot me an email and we can chat. And would love to be helpful and be a sounding board, whether you're going to buy a house or someone's trying to get you to co-sign on another loan. I'll talk you out of it.
Yeah,
I'll just pull up this recording and but yeah, if you have any questions, we'd love to stay in touch
definitely.
and wishing you all the best. So
Okay, I appreciate your time today. Thanks, Billy.
a lot to unpack right there with Angela. Obviously, she's gone through a lot of challenges in her life, being a single mother, mother of three, getting in a car wreck at a young age, and also co-signing on a loan with someone she hardly knew at 19, 20 years old. Hopefully, there's some learnings there for everyone right there. I had a great conversation with Angela after we finished recording. Was honest with her that I would not put her out of 10 in terms of her financial health, financial situation, because she's in the red every single month. It's great. She's been able to pay off her car, that she is not in debt. She took out credit cards to build credit, which can turn into an ugly game real quick. And she's not in debt, and she was able to pay those off on a monthly basis. But I'd put her more in the 5 range right now. No, she does not have any debt, but she's pulling from her savings every single month. Honestly, that's probably going to would be lower than a 5. It'd be a 3. Obviously, she's had a lot of challenges, and she's increasing her income doing side things with acting. But being a mother of 3, living on Social Security, disability, and some side income is a very, very difficult life. And then to have your landlords jack up the rent from $900 to $1,800 a month almost in the course of 2 years is a lot coming real quick when she's been living there for 18 years now. So she said she's going to be thinking about the house purchase a little bit more. Maybe she's trying to bite off more than she can chew when she's thinking about buying a house, and she has to have her best interests at heart, and she needs to figure out how to get back in the red. She didn't realize until I said that she's in the red every single month when she's having expenses over $3,500 a month and bringing about $3,000 a month. So really enjoyed the conversation with Angela today. She has a lot of work to figure out her rent living situation. She's got 8 weeks to do that. I have full faith in her that she can do that, and really enjoy this conversation with her. So if you're still here and you watched in this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. And my goal here is just to help people learn about money, to talk more about money with real people in this world, that challenges, struggles, things that everyone in this world is thinking about, dealing with, or seeing. And yeah, just want to help people learn. I want to learn as well. And so if you want to be on the show, shoot me an email, drop me an email. The email's in the description, and we'll see you next time. So thank you so much.